Non-basketball moves remain a point of education for the 2023 and 24 NBA season, and the first type to review is an offensive player abnormally extending part of his body into a defender. The highlighted offensive player here, Trae Young, takes a jump shot and he extends his right leg out in an overt manner, initiating illegal contact with the defender, Aaron Nesmith, tripping him and sending him to the floor. As this is clearly more than marginal contact initiated by Young, this was correctly ruled an offensive foul. Now let's look at another play where a shooter extends part of his body outside his normal motion to shoot. The offensive player here, Jalen Suggs, overtly extends his right leg and he makes marginal contact with his defender, Raul Neto. Note that since this is only marginal contact initiated by Suggs, this correctly resulted in a no call and a play-on situation. The next type of non-basketball move to review is a dribbler abruptly veering off his path and moving sideways or backwards into a defender. The highlighted offensive player, Dante DiVincenzo, receives the ball from his teammate, but he then abruptly moves to his left, initiating illegal contact to the defensive player, Peyton Watson. This contact by DiVincenzo is more than marginal, as it clearly affects Watson's ability to defend the play. This was correctly ruled an offensive foul by the lead official. Watch the contact on this next play closely. The highlighted dribbler, Fred VanVleet, drives toward the basket and he veers slightly into the help defender, Miles Turner. And while the replays show the lateral movement by VanVleet, the contact here is only marginal and it does not rise to the level of a foul. Please note that while a defensive foul was incorrectly called on this play, the correct ruling here would be a no call and a play-on situation. The next type of non-basketball move that we will review is an offensive player launching or leaning into a defender at an abnormal angle or trajectory. The highlighted offensive player here, Darius Garland, shot fakes and he then moves overtly and abruptly to his left, and in doing so, he initiates more than marginal contact with the defensive player, Cam Johnson. Since this contact initiated by Garland is clearly more than marginal, it is correctly ruled an offensive foul. Watch this next example closely. After the shot fake, the highlighted offensive player, Jason Tatum, moves forward at an abnormal angle into the defensive player, Mikal Bridges, and there is contact on the play. But since the contact between the two players here was only marginal and it did not rise to the level of a foul, this was correctly ruled a no call and a play-on situation. Another type of non-basketball move to review is contact between an offensive player and his defender where the offensive player uses his off arm to initiate illegal contact. Here, the dribbler Kyle Anderson uses his off arm to grab and hook the arm of the defender, Jeff Green. This illegal contact, seen clearly on the replays, affects Green's ability to continue defending the play. An offensive foul on Anderson was correctly called on this play by the lead official. The next play in this section will show illegal contact initiated by the defensive player that occurs before the offensive player hooks the defender with his off arm. The highlighted defensive player, Franz Wagner, extends his forearm across the front of the dribbler, D'Angelo Russell, and this illegal contact by Wagner occurs before Russell then uses his off arm to initiate contact with the extended arm of Wagner. As the illegal defensive contact occurs first, this play was correctly ruled a defensive foul on Wagner. A new addition to non-basketball moves for this season is the rip-through, specifically in regards to the offensive player either moving the ball upward while facing away from the basket or moving the ball upward in a direction away from the basket. The highlighted offensive player, Dennis Schroeder, abruptly swings his arms through the left arm of his defender, Mike Conley, to initiate contact. But since Schroeder moved the ball upward in a direction away from the basket, this will not be considered a legitimate shot attempt, but instead a non-basketball move, and therefore the ruling on this play would be a no call and a play-on situation. Another example of a rip-through that would result in a no call can be seen here. The offensive player, Kevin Durant, abruptly swings his arms through the right arm of his defender, Nicholas Batum, to initiate contact. But since Durant moved the ball upward while he was facing away from the basket, this will not be considered a legitimate shot attempt, but instead a non-basketball move, and the ruling here would be a no call and a play-on situation. In contrast to the previous two examples, here we will see a rip-through that would still be ruled a defensive foul, but not a foul in the act of shooting. Here, the highlighted offensive player, Karl Anthony Towns, makes a legitimate basketball move as he rips through the arm of the defender, Benedict Mathurin, while Towns is facing the basket. Since the foul occurred on the side-to-side motion, this is a common foul and not a foul in the act of shooting. Remember, if a defensive player has his arm extended towards an offensive player with the ball, who initiates contact with that defensive player's arm by ripping through from side to side, a defensive foul will be assessed. Another type of rip-through move can be seen here. The highlighted offensive player, Bradley Beal, starts his move by ripping through the arm of the defender, Mason Plumlee. This would be deemed a legitimate basketball play by Beal, and the contact would result in a non-shooting foul by Plumlee. The replays show that Beal swung his arms and kept the ball low to the ground as he sought to drive by Plumlee in a basketball manner when the illegal contact occurred. The final example in this section will show a foul that occurs in the act of shooting and would not be considered a rip-through. The highlighted offensive player, Joel Embiid, initiates contact with the extended arm of the defender, Jonas Valanciunas, after Embiid has started his upward motion to shoot. This is a legitimate basketball move by Embiid, as he was facing the basket and he was in his natural upward motion when the illegal contact occurred. This was correctly ruled a foul in the act of shooting.